Good morning and welcome back to the KR Daily Transmission. I'm so happy to be here with you this morning. Good morning, Chelsea. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Where you're watching live from. If you are watching a video replay, feel free to share with our community where you are watching and joining us from, wherever you are in the world. And I wanted to begin today by just sharing how meaningful it was for me to read your comments from last Friday's YouTube live. That was a big decision for me to keep that video live and to keep the replay up. And it was so powerful to watch and witness the stream of comments that were coming in of support and realizations and reflections about both this platform and the Sophia Code movement, but also about your own leadership. Okay, Rue is joining us with her lioness roar this morning. And that was extremely meaningful for me to receive your reflections and your support, and just thank you from every part of my heart. Last week was incredibly challenging for me leading up to the eclipse, and it was amazing to feel the release that happened with that eclipse last night, and to get to be with you for the Heaven on Earth Prayer Collective, which of course will be posting that replay later today. But it was extremely powerful ceremony, and I welcome you to participate in that prayer collective and send that energy back in time to yourself right before the eclipse. It's a really potent transmission. And we also had a very special announcement last night that we managed to find the right contractors to work with for our live stream of the Paris event. So if you can't join us in person for that incredible moment in Paris, please be a part of the global transmission on the live stream access pass. Oh, it's so wonderful to read everyone's comments. Lisa is sharing, Lisa Espinosa is one of our Sophia Circle leaders who I just interviewed last week. Stay tuned for her interview coming at the end of this month. And Lisa's writing in, thank you, Kaia, for keeping the replay of your transmission on Friday. It was so healing for my own leadership to watch your authentic share and all of your raw feelings. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. I mean, it was extremely healing for me to be able to be held in that space and to witness that it was a healing for others, because that was a lot of feelings. So we're going to dive even deeper into that, into the power of our feelings in today's reading of the Sophia Code with Mother Mary on page 169 in the Sophia Code. And this is from a section called Walking the Way. And we're going to be focused on this section pretty much all week long. And this is because when we are mentoring with Mother Mary, we are mentoring with a woman who knows what it takes to have all of your feelings and still show up with courage, strength, and grace to your divine purpose, to your spiritual leadership. So we're going to be reading from the second to last paragraph of this section, Walking the Way, on page 169 in the Sophia Code. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it with you. I've only got a few minutes today, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more speedy to get to my next appointment. But this is a potent passage that speaks for itself. The words of Mother Mary from the Sophia Code on page 169. Walking the way of this creative tension is not a casual affair for the human ego, nor is it for the faint of heart. It's a spiritual path that requires a daily relinquishing of all attachments to suffering and a complete surrender to the voice of your higher self guiding you from your heart. Many question and even condemn those who follow their heart along the way of personal awakening. It requires significant courage to trust your innocence, guiding you to have faith and follow the path of your greatest potential. With that said, the way is the simplest road and most direct route for living a joyfully aligned life and fulfilling your destiny. I could unpack this paragraph for like an hour, but I'm going to attempt to do it in a few minutes. Good morning, Chelsea. Good morning, Joanna. Good morning, Chloe. Okay, number one, walking the way of this creative tension is not a casual affair for the human ego, nor is it for the faint of heart. What is walking the way? Well, in the Sophia Code, we share that the Ascended Masters called their path of spiritual awakening, their path of spiritual leadership and service, the way. And what that term, the way, speaks to is this daily commitment to showing up to your direct connection to source, showing up to embodying the divine light and the divine consciousness of your higher self, showing up to embodying your sovereignty when the whole world is hooked on codependency, and choosing to embody that clarity first for yourself, that divine love first for yourself, that compassion first for yourself, that creative genius first for yourself, and then for others in your service. And what Mother Mary is sharing here when she says it's not a casual affair for the human ego, nor is it for the faint of heart. Now, calling in that presence of Mother Mary to help you receive these words this morning, I witness her arriving in this massive sapphire blue radiance, both the dress that she's wearing, but it's like sapphire and royal blue, but also her energy field is filled with this powerful transmission. So she's saying this, it's not a casual affair for the human ego. What are we saying here? Mother Mary is sharing, you can think your spiritual journey is about smelling the daisies, but it's also going to involve you looking at some very challenging spaces within yourself that probably smell like poop because they've been hanging out, creating havoc in your life for a really long time. And when you truly connect to your higher self, you realize there's an entire history of both past and present life trauma and wounding that's keeping you from the radiance and brilliance of your higher self. And that one part of our consciousness, the ego structure, that's involved with keeping us very safe, it's very infantile. It's not purposeless. It's just not meant to be in charge of the human experience. It's meant to keep your body safe. It's meant to keep a roof over your head. It's meant to keep wheels under you. And it's meant to keep food on your table. But when the ego structure is running the show, it's going to keep you from expansion. It's going to keep you from growing bigger in yourself and in this world. It's going to keep you from taking up space and expanding into unknown, uncomfortable places that are going to bring greater prosperity, greater responsibilities, greater opportunities to be seen in your divine purpose, greater love in your relationships with others. We think we want all these things, but the ego structure knows that when you receive them, everything starts to change, and the ego structure is terrified of change. So this is why Mother Mary is sharing the walking the way is not a casual affair for our ego. It's just not. And we all have an ego. It's just part of having the human experience. And so she's saying, like, you're being put on notice if you're genuinely and authentically showing up your spiritual journey. There's a part of you that's going to be confronted by that journey every day. And so what does she go on to say? She say it's not for the faint of heart. That means there's an embodiment of strength, persistence, willingness, and courage, very Joan of Arc energy, right? Which we're going to be focusing on in Paris, to show up to this daily walk. And so Mother Mary goes on to say, it's a spiritual path that requires a daily relinquishing of all attachments to suffering. You think, I'm attached to suffering? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We cherish our suffering. We put it on pedestals of glory. We even can define ourselves by our suffering and think that our suffering is so unique to us individually. The truth is, we are all navigating the same universal suffering in the human experience. And our pain is not precious. Your divinity is what's precious. Your holiness is what is precious. Your willingness to move with innocence, grace, willingness, strength, and courage to claim that divinity, that's precious. Our attachments to pain, no, that just creates a lot of problems in our life. And that's part of the human experience, is loosening our grip on suffering so much for what we think we're worthy of, when we are already worth the value of God. So as we, continue in this paragraph with Mother Mary, she's saying it's requiring you to be super honest and sober about where you keep being attached to codependency, suffering, hiding, contracting, thinking small thoughts about yourself, self-sabotage. When we refuse to face the traumatic programming of our past, it keeps us imprisoned in the present moment. And so Mother Mary is saying this is going to require a complete, not partial, a complete surrender to the voice of your higher self, guiding you from your heart. When you see people really checked out and they're not listening to their hearts, it's because they're really spending a lot of time running from their own hearts. To embody strength and courage, which is what our theme is for the month of May, requires us to run towards our hearts, even if our hearts feel broken, even if our hearts are feeling a great deal of distress or confusion or transition, or anger. Running into embracing our hearts with all of those feelings is where we find our power. It's where we find our solutions and our answers. And most importantly, it's where we find the voice of our higher self that's attempting to communicate to our human awareness that there is information that your heart is feeling that's helpful for you to walk through that transition and into a more empowered space. This is what she's talking about when she's saying walking the way. She's saying it's a daily relinquishing and it's a daily surrender. And Mother Mary goes on to say, it requires significant courage to trust your innocence, guiding you to have faith and follow the path of your greatest potential. Isn't that interesting? It's your innocence that keeps guiding you back to your heart. It's your innocence that knows, oh, there's that old pattern of suffering. There's that old codependent relationship. There's that way of self-sabotaging. I don't want to do that anymore. That hurts. Ow. It's very simple. The innocence in our heart is like, ow, I don't like it. Doesn't feel good. Move away from that. I want to go where I feel honored, loved, respected, supported. It's the innocence of your heart is it doesn't complicate what feels good and what doesn't. It's only our programming, it's only the trauma, it's only the ego structure, it's only our attachments to making the pain more valuable than it needs to be that confuses everything. So your innocence is always guiding you to your greatest potential through this simple, but not simple doesn't mean it's somehow less powerful. Interestingly enough, the simplicity is the power. When we're arguing with our heart, we're arguing with a green light, red light, a traffic light within us. It's saying, yes, no, go, stop. Your innocence is a genius. It doesn't need to make things complicated that are very simple. The more we come into alignment with our divinity, we understand that our worth, our creative power, our clarity is pretty simple. It always knows what to do. It always knows what to say. It always knows what to create. It always knows what to walk away from or walk towards without a whole lot of conversation about it. That's the divine feminine wisdom. The divine feminine principle within us already knows the truth beyond a conversation about it. So why are we having so many conversations with our ego structure about what is really ours to do today as we walk the way of our sacred heart? And this final sentence on this paragraph on page 169, Mother Mary says, with that said, the way is the simplest road and most direct route for living a joyfully aligned life and fulfilling your destiny. Isn't that interesting? It's our attachments to pain that make things very complicated and confusing. And if we're willing to step into the strength and courage to bring divine love, forgiveness, healing, and empowerment to those places that have been confused by the trauma, that have been wounded and run around in circles by the ego structure, when we come back to our heart, there are very clear and simple answers that get us in step with a joyfully aligned life. Does that mean you're never going to have hard feelings and joyfully aligned life? Definitely not. You saw that on Friday. I genuinely live a joyfully aligned life. Part of my joy is that I can feel in my body and my heart when something is out of alignment, when something is an attachment to suffering, and my body is communicating that to me. That's part of the joy of living an aligned life. You're always going to get the feedback loop real fast because you're living in your heart, not running from your heart. And finally, she says, this is the most direct route. So we often feel as though, oh my gosh, there's another thing to heal. We talked about that a lot in Austin. You know, when is it going to end? All these things I have to heal or work on inside of me. And it's like, why are we keeping score? What is there a destination? We've lived thousands of lifetimes, including this one. What if the journey was, I am here to love myself so deeply. I have no destination for how much I'm willing to love myself today. I have no destination for how much I'm willing to listen to where my heart wants to take me today in my healing and in my empowerment. Mother Mary can help you with that kind of presencing, that kind of sobriety, that deep embodiment of strength and courage that allows you to show up and love yourself in unexpected ways all day long. And it's from that clarity and that sobriety of self-love that you realize, bring it on. I'm here to heal it all. I'm here to love it all. I'm here to forgive it all. I'm here to empower it all. I'm here to create medicine for my ministry with all of this pain that I am willing to not be attached to so that it can rise up as the spiritual gold of my offering. That's the invincible innocence. That's the creative genius of your innocence. It's like, yes, thank you. I accept, I receive this joyfully aligned life, revealing to me my ever-present next step moments of genuine awakening. Not plastic spirituality, genuine awakening, authentic spiritual embodiment, true divine feminine somatic heart wisdom, true divine masculine divinely guided action, true heart wisdom, heart womb wisdom that births divine new solutions because they actually work in your life, in your daily embodiment, not because it's a theory, because you're willing through strength and courage to test drive the power of your spiritual faith and your beliefs every day of your life. That's walking away. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share some of these Mother Mary teachings and reflections from the Sophia Code today. Thanks for being a part of our very powerful solar eclipse full moon prayer collective ceremony last night. There's so many powerful diamond points in that replay, so look forward for that today being released on YouTube. Our French translation of the prayer collective will be released in about a week. And also, again, big announcement. We managed to find the most aligned individuals to help us live stream Paris. So if you can't be there in person with us, which, oh my gosh, let's pack that room with all of as many light worker earth angels in our community that can actually be in Paris with us in person on June 15th. But if live stream is your option for attending, join us in the live stream and reserve your ticket now at my website at kaia.com. I am so excited for Paris. As Audrey Hepburn would say, Paris is always a good idea. I love you all so much. We'll see you tomorrow for the KR Daily Transmission. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel in support of the Sophia Code movement. Namaste.